Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be why she jerks you around. Well, I've got a couple of emails from two different guys who are basically getting jerked around by women that they're involved with or trying to date. And in one of them, he's actually got the text exchange, and as we go through it, you'll see where he's going wrong. Now, it's funny, I was having some beers with an old friend of mine last night I hadn't seen in a while, and he had met this girl a few weeks back, and he was kind of getting jerked around by her, and so we started going through his texts and what he's actually been texting her back and forth. And it's when you're vague or you ask a woman to make a choice or make a decision, such as, hey, what day do you want to go out, Saturday or Sunday? Instead of just asking her, hey, when are you free to get together? And she says, well, Sunday, or I'm free Monday. Or because if a woman says, I don't know, I'm not sure, then you just say, hey, great, well, when you figure out your schedule, get back to me. And then you kind of put the ball back in her court. And what you have to do in those situations is you have to wait for her to get back to you. Like this friend of mine, when he initially got this girl's number, she waited a whole week to return his initial phone call when he got in touch with her. And like you've probably heard me say before, some women, because I coach a lot of women, about 10% of my audience is women, I hear this every fucking time. The hardest thing they have is finding a guy that doesn't act like a pussy, that doesn't blow up their phone, that doesn't act like a stalker. And a lot of them say, I just wish a guy would leave me hanging or leave me wondering where I stand with them, because these guys make it so easy and they basically act like a bunch of women instead of men, and that's what they want. They want a guy who actually acts like a man and not a woman, a guy who makes decisions and gets directly to the point. So the key when you're interacting with women is to act like a guy who has choices, meaning your time is limited, your time is valuable, and if you've only got 1 or 2 evenings a week open to actually do something, you're not going to wait until the last minute to find out whether or not this girl's actually going to want to spend time with you. Because if you have lots of options, you're going to make plans with somebody who's willing to make plans with you. But typically, I've got a really good quote along this topic that'll help you with the mindset. So before we get into these guys' emails, and it says, successful people have options, not only in their career or business, but in their personal lives as well. Unsuccessful people tend to have a scarcity or poverty mindset because they don't think or act like they deserve what they want. A scarcity and poverty mindset causes people to tolerate things successful people do not, because they don't feel like they have any other choice. The truth is, you are an abundant divine being with infinite choices. The universe will always match and mirror your mindset and beliefs. If you are not satisfied with your present options, keep looking and acting as if what you really want will eventually come. You must practice infinite patience and not become attached to that which is not your ideal. If you give up and settle before what you want and deserve actually manifests, then that will instruct the universe to conform to your belief. So let's get into the first guy's email. He says, hey Corey, first of all, I'd like to let you know your articles are awesome. I just love reading them as they help keep me on top of my dating game. He says, now I'm asking for advice because I'm in a situation I don't know how to approach. So recently I got to know this pretty cute girl in school, and we actually went out for 2 dates. And I guess it went pretty well since she texted me first after both dates. Well, that's definitely a good sign that she was interested in you and her attraction was growing after you took her home or after the date had ended. And this was her text after the second date. Thanks, it was great, and this definitely makes us feel closer. And he says, is this a good sign? Absolutely. In that moment, when she sent that to you, that's what she's feeling. The feelings of attraction and sexual attention were building. So you were handling yourself appropriately there. He says, on the second date, she bought me a gift when she went overseas. However, I didn't manage to kiss her on both dates, which is, well, way too disappointing. I was like, yeah, because the longer you wait, she bought you a gift. Women don't do things like that for guys they don't give a shit about. And when you wait and you hesitate, it makes her start to think that you lack confidence. Remember what I said earlier in the quote. If you're a successful person who's used to getting what you want, the thought of getting rejected doesn't even enter into your mind. And so that's why you should act as if, of course she's going to kiss me, even if you end up getting the cheek. But the bottom line is you go for it because those are your expectations. But someone who feels like, oh my God, this is the last woman I'm ever going to talk to, I don't want to fuck it up, they go out of their way and be extra nice and extra accommodating. And when a woman senses that and she sees that, she starts to mess around and see if she can push you around. And if she can, it's going to ruin attraction. And the more a woman senses weakness, the more she's going to pull away and test. He says, and so we actually agreed on going out to this museum in town as she said she was interested to go. So to me, obviously, I thought I got the third date in hand. Well, a definite date is where you actually have a day and a time to either meet up or pick her up. Not when you talk about something, some guys think that, oh yeah, let's get together this weekend. Maybe we'll go to that art museum. Great, let's do it. Awesome. I'll talk to you this weekend. That's not a definite date. That's a definite maybe. That's kind of up in the air. And what you're doing is you're waiting to confirm that date in essence in the weekend. And when you do that, if you're kind of like borderline, she's not really sure about you or not too crazy about going out with you, she's not going to go out of her way to meet up with you. Why? Because she knows that she can probably jerk you around. Now, how would she know this? Because most guys she meets are like this. They're like putty in their hands. They don't ever stand up to them or themselves for that matter. He says, so right after our second date, I didn't waste much time in trying to get the third date, and so I called and asked her if she's still interested in going to the museum. That communicates that you're not sure that she's going to want to go with you. And the only reason you express that is because you're used to women blowing you off. And that communicates something to her that you're unsure of herself. You're acting feminine in that moment. That's just the way it is, dude. He says, and her reply was, tell me honestly, are you interested in going? Because what's happening is you're being vague and unsure. You're acting like a woman. And that's what she's trying to, tell me honestly, are you interested in going? In other words, she's saying, make a fucking decision, dude. Be a man. Ask me out with confidence and plan the thing. Because you're kind of leaving it up the air, expecting her to nail down the details. Women don't want responsibility for that shit. He says, if your answer is yes, then mine would be yes too. So here's where he gives me his text exchange here. He says, me, I'm interested. When will you be free? Her, she says, I don't know when I will be free. When a woman says that, then say, great. Well, when you figure out your schedule, just give me a call then and we'll plan something definite. I'll talk to you later. That's it. That would be the end of the conversation. But he continues on. And he says, are you showing me that you're not interested in going out with me? Come on, man. It's like that is the type of guy who's used to getting blown off and rejected. And that caused her to think, wow, maybe this guy, that communicates you're not very successful with women. If you're not very successful with other women, then she starts to wonder, well, why is it these other women will blow you off and jerk you around? Maybe I should blow you off and jerk you around. That's what starts to happen because you're not acting like a man. You don't act, there's no confidence there. You act like you're totally unsure of yourself. She says, no, because I'm busy with my final year project. And then he says, well, we could meet up for dinner any day. Come on, dude. And it's like, now you're like, I'll do whatever I have to do, Your Highness, so we can spend some time together. And her, she says, I don't mind. And then he says, what day are you available this week? And then she says, I don't know and I'll be free. And then he says, so I'm going to take that as a no? And then her response is, yep, because I'm really not sure when I'm free. And then he just says, okay, cool. The best way to handle it is like, great. Whenever a woman says, I'm not sure of my schedule, you just say, great, figure it out and get back to me, and we'll plan something then. And you have to give her the space and time to do that. Because the typical guy in this situation, what he would typically do, he'd wait 3 or 4 days and and then text her. Even though she's supposed to get back to him, hey, did you figure out your schedule yet? And she'll have some wishy-washy answer. And that's all it takes to get you to ruin the attraction, because what's going on is you're acting like 99% of the guys that she meets. And this is the guys that act this way are needy, insecure, stalkerish. They don't know what they're doing, and it never works out. And so whenever you give a hint that you're like all the rest of the other guys, that's all it takes for a girl to go from really wanting to be with you to you're out, pal. So he says, as you can see, I'm not sure where I went wrong. I've dated other girls that have never been in a situation like this. Probably because you've never gone out with other girls that you really liked as much as this one, and you were a little bit more firm in your responses and your answer. But it's obvious you really like this girl, so you're like, hey, choose a day and I'll clear my schedule for you. Remember what I said in the quote earlier. Successful people have options, and if you're a busy, successful man who's working on his purpose, his mission, in this case, obviously you're still in school, you're not gonna let someone jerk you around or just throw something up in the air like that. You're gonna make plans with one of the other girls that you know who's definitely excited to see you, and when this girl figures out her schedule, she'll get back to you then. But you're presupposing that she's not gonna get back to you. And obviously that's why you responded the way you responded. So I got a second email I'm going to go through. And this is from another guy. He says, hey coach, I've only recently heard of you and I just bought your book. I'm trying to apply it to my life one step at a time. My current girlfriend is tearing me apart. Well, that's only happening because you're not acting like the leader. Maybe you should jump up and down really hard a couple times, maybe get your balls to drop all the way. I'm just fucking with you. He says, she was my best friend for 4 years and eventually we got together. Before we started our relationship, she played me for a fool twice, promising a relationship and then taking it away. Well, obviously you're new to my work and you don't know what I teach yet, which is hang out, have fun, and hook up. It doesn't mean try to get somebody into a relationship. Relationships happen slowly over time through bonding and connection and going out on one good date after another. He says, it broke my heart, but I forgave her because these actions did not fit with the girl I know and love. She's just acting like a woman. When you act weak, she's going to be flaky and unsure of herself. Why? Because she wants a man. She wants a guy whose balls have fully dropped. He says, now we're in a relationship and all is not well. When it's good, it's great. But she takes bizarre mood swings during which she treats me like dirt on her boot. That's because you let her. You don't stand up to her. You have a scarcity and poverty mindset like this is the only woman you're ever going to know the rest of your life. And therefore, you act like you don't have any value. And if you don't act like you have any value, well, she can't help but treat you like dirt on her boot. Why? Because she's trying to see what she can get away with, and you give her an inch and she takes a mile, and you let her have that mile, and you just keep coming back for more. Thank you, may I have another? He says, I'm too soft, and I let her get away with it. Yeah, what was I just saying? He says, because it just isn't her. Well, she can't help it because you're acting weak. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. She's just, the way she's acting is a reflection of how you're showing up, and you're not acting like a man who's used to getting what he wants. He says, I'm beginning to suspect she suffers with bipolar disorder. No, you're just acting weak, dude. It's possible that she's suffering bipolar, but from what you shared, she's acting like any other woman would act when a man acts weak. He says she has once or twice acknowledged that these actions are not normal, but she refuses to discuss it further. Because she doesn't want to hurt your feelings. She wants you to figure it out and fucking act like a man. He says, please can you offer any advice? This is the most confusing and painful event in my life. Well, immerse yourself in my book. And for those of you who watch this that haven't read my book yet, that's the baseline knowledge of everything that I teach that I'm talking from is what's in my book. On my website, underneath the email sign-up box, there's a box that will take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page. And if you don't have a Kindle device, just download one of their free e-reader apps for whatever electronic device that you want to read my book on. If you'd like to get my help personally with a situation or a challenge that you're having, go to my website, click the Products tab at the top of your screen, and book a paid phone coaching session with yours truly. And I will talk to you soon.